Hi, my name is MorganConlon, and for my capstone project, I worked on a residential permaculture system. My site was located in Lafayette, Indiana, about a 15-minute drive south from the Purdue's campus. It is a 2-acre residential site where the northern acre is covered in a dense woodland and at a steep downhill slope. We only had about a half acre to work with. Permaculture is a holistic design approach designed to mimic natural planting systems. In order to accomplish this, I focused on 3 main goals, the first being sustainable food production, second being water management and conservation, and the third being overall environmental functionality. Here, these 3 goals are visualized. So for increasing food production, we proposed a happy plant system rather than just a beautiful garden. In order to accomplish this, we followed a system called companion planting, where strategic crops are planted together in order to benefit each other. For increasing water management and conservation, we are proposing rain barrels to capture some of that natural rainwater. And then for sustainable functionality, I just wanted to ensure that this was beneficial for the homeowner. So we are providing an outdoor canning kitchen as well as a vegetable production station with a sink right off of her back porch. So she's able to clean her produce, process her produce, and use it more often. This is the final master plan for the site. So we are proposing over 20 different species of vegetables. Currently, there is an estimated yield of about 800 pounds. This is a final master plan. This will be developed in phases as the client seeks. Currently, we have 3 different types of raised planter beds that I will discuss a little bit later. There's an orchard on the southern portion of the site, as well as a greenhouse as sort of the central focus of this design. This is a planting suggestion for the overall site. It's a little bit crazy with colors, but each color represents a different vegetable or herb or flower. Herbs and flowers are mixed in throughout with the vegetables to accomplish this companion planting that I mentioned a little bit before. For example, nasturtiums and marigolds are in just about every plant bed. Both of those flowers are great for, first of all, increasing pollination, but they also secrete some pest reduction into the soil themselves, which will lower the amount of pests and the need for pesticides. And then basil helps to increase the taste of many vegetables while also providing some shade where needed. The northern garden you see there is the apothecary garden that my client requested. It has St. John's wort and basil, echinacea, and a bunch of other medicinal plants that she requested. And then we will get into the specifics a little bit later. This is the design for the orchard on the site. It's designed with a method called the planting of trios. Orchard trees are always very susceptible to pesticides and diseases, so this is an attempt to fix that. It's a system of planting a nitrogen-fixing species with an apple tree and a pear tree. None of the tree species should be next to their companion, and this allows for diseases to be centralized. The strategic spacing allows for a nice breeze to get through to also help with the minimizing of diseases. And we've kind of created a row formation where between each of these trees there are 2 shrubs and then 2 smaller plants, either herbs or flowers. This helps to just increase pollination on the site. They kind of work together where the trees will provide some shade for the shrubs, while the shrubs will also cool the ground around the shade trees, kind of creating a great little system. I did recommend a few different species for the client here. Apple trees are very different depending on what species she wanted to plant, and I just wanted to make sure she had options. These planter beds are kind of the main portion of the project for me. I did propose 4 separate types of planter beds. We have our large crop planter beds, which will hold corn and squash. These are plants that she won't need to be on her knees to tend to. She can stand up and walk through them in order to harvest the corn. So they raised are only about 8 inches off the ground. My berry planter beds are for the strawberries, the blackberries, and the blueberries. These will be grown upwards in kind of a trellis formation. So these planter beds are raised about 6 inches off the ground, and they have wooden stakes which will have wire around them for the plants to grow up in between. The vine planter bed is one long skinny planter at the back of the site. This is raised about 1 foot off the ground, and it has a fence line through the middle of it. This is designed for loofah climbing beans and a few different species of squash to grow on. It is a skinny but long planter bed so that there is nice aeration moving between these plants to help reduce disease and pests. And then the average planter bed on the site is raised 2.5 feet off the ground, and it does have a 1-foot lip running around it for accessibility, so my client can easily sit and harvest her crops without having to be on her knees a lot. The process of filling these planter beds is called huberculture. It is a German term where you are basically creating a composting system in the planter bed. Because my client's site is full of woodland, we have plenty of tree species she can use. So we will fill a large portion of the planter with some larger logs and then some smaller sticks, then some leaf clutter, then a nice layer of organic compost before we add the topsoil. This will be adjusted depending on the height of the planters, of course, but this is what it will look like for the average planter bed. This shows some details of my design. For the outdoor kitchen, it will be stainless steel and placed next to an existing GCI cord and spigot, so it'll have water access and electricity. Next to the sink will be a net for the dirt to fall off the vegetables, but also the water when it is drying. The greenhouse is designed for seatings mainly, and it will have some built-in benches that are perfectly sized for the plug layouts. The downspout barrels will be placed on 2 corners of the helm, and these are some of the important components that they need to have. It's pretty straightforward. It's really just necessary. It is on a hard, flat surface and has an overflow pipe. This project featured residential permaculture. When taking permaculture systems and applying them to a residential scale, it is important to work directly with the client to ensure this is something they can manage on their own. I wanted to make sure that this was something she could use in the future and that would just grow with her and be perfect for her. For sustainable food production, that's shown by my planting plan, where I'm using some planting systems to help promote healthy soil and promote happy plant communities. For water management and conservation, that will start as those rain barrels, but may evolve to something else as she sees she may need later on. And then that environmental functionality is just making sure that those planter beds will always have nice fresh soil with that method of planting filling that I discussed, while also making sure that these systems work for her, that the greenhouse and the outdoor kitchen are something that she uses and help to sustain her lifestyle.